Everyone. Welcome back for episode 3 of our replay review series. Today we have we have 6 games lined up. Everyone. Don't need that plane. Yeah, we have 6 games lined up. Most of them are fairly medium to light. So, won't be seeing too many. Actually, we only have one heavy tank play today. So give us a good feel for how to play some of our more medium and lighter tanks. With that, I will go into the first replay. So the first one is from Kinmanyon, and it is a BDR on Serene Coast, and it ended in a draw. So I will just download this and get into it. I've also kind of updated the chat box there to see if it can work a little bit better. I've switched over to using the night dev one. So hopefully that works out a bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it here. I'm going to put up that our 4 points, main points, kind of that we like to think about when we start a game, and go from there. So first things we're going to see is what map is it? Serene Coast. This one I find changes between the tiers just because there's some kind of movements and different things you can do at lower tier that maybe you can't do at higher tier and vice versa. It's also very team dependent. If there is artillery, there's some positions that you kind of want to stay away from just because they're generally auto. They're always just looking there. But in this case, we're tier 5 in a tier 6 game, so we're middle tier. In terms of where positioning and where people go, your tendency for heavies, and that's why when I say tendency, it's where general people of the pack will go, is your heavies will kind of play out here in the 8-9. Your more medium, fast mobile tanks will try and go out to the 1-2 out here and brawl it out over here. And then occasionally you have some tanks who come into this kind of gully valley here. Not a lot of people play in this middle town here because it's kind of you're fairly exposed to a lot of different fronts, and it's hard to push forward if you run into anything. You'll see is sometimes TDs from the north sit around here in this B5 area, as well as TDs back here in or I guess I can use this, back in this C89 area. Sometimes you'll see people camping back here if they don't want to take too much of a forward position. And similarly down in the south, you can see people playing in these rocks, some TDs and whatnot, in these rocks. And then from the south, kind of along this bottom line here, we'll kind of aim to anyone coming up from here. There's a bush right here that can kind of look down this firing lane, so if you do push through, they'll have shots on you. I personally don't like engaging very much on the 8-9. I feel like by the time you get there, especially when there's artillery and TDs, it's very hard from the north to push through and do anything, because first you have to win the fight here, but once you go through, you're just exposed from people in here, and then artillery, so it's very hard to push through. And then in a tank like the BDR, you're not really that fast, and you don't really have a lot of armor, so even if you did win the fight in here, you probably wouldn't make it all the way. Because they don't have too big of an artillery, personally, I'd probably take myself over here to the C1 and try and control that, and especially if you're going up against more medium and lighter tanks over there, you can kind of bully them a bit. You do have fairly good depression in comparison to something like the KV-85, so if you were to meet some of those ones up there, you could do a little bit of hull down sort of shooting. Your team is not at the top, at least, is not as heavy, but that certainly isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the Cromwell is a great tank to kind of move around and be maneuverable. Um, it's fairly balanced. You have a bit more tank destroyers, so you can expect your team to be a bit more passive. So keep that in mind that you don't want to overextend too much. So we'll just kind of roll a clip from there and see what ends up happening.
Time to roll out.
It's gonna speed it up to 2 times. So as you can see, like I said, typically you'll see your heavy tanks go here, your tank destroyers sit back here, and then your more mobile stuff is going to play in this region over here. And, the thing that you can see right away is with the exception of this KB85. And by the way, this Cheeto up here, never go on this top side of this thing, or if you do, stay on the back side of this church, because this entire side over here is going to have broadside shots on you, as well as artillery and whatnot. So you're super exposed. So just don't ever put yourself up here. It's not a very good position. But like I was saying, the thing you want to keep in mind right here is, it's just two tanks here, really, right? So you can't. I mean, you want to try and win this as much as you can, but the second you turn this corner right here to poke around, if there's any TDs back there, they're going to shoot you, and artillery are going to shoot you. So you're very alone, and it's something to keep in mind that don't expect a lot of help from your team at this point. So I'm just going to actually go into your views to see what you're seeing. I see you have binocs on. Is there a particular reason the binocs are on, or is that just you didn't have any other any other equipment to put on? Okay, so basically he's just moving around to try and get a bit closer while not getting exposed to that VK. Let's see what your alpha is. So you can see the other side of your map it's already lost when your tanks and they have a sizable force over there. So the longer that you're staying here and not really pushing or doing anything, the longer that north is probably going to hold, because one Hellcat against all that's not going to hold, especially when there's artillery. But at the same time, I said you can't really push here that far, just because of the tank destroyers that might be in the back down there, and they already have 3 heavies here as well. So your other side's kind of starting to lose, right? I mean, even if we just do a tank count real quick here, there is the KB85's over there. The A43 is over there. The Cheeto's over there. The T3485M is over there. The VKP is over there. Don't know where the Hellcat is, but you can assume he's either back here or somewhere over here. Chances are he's probably down here. So, in terms of tank counts, their entire top tier, with the exception of this VK, is on the other side. You have these 2 Churchills that you know of here, and then the M4 and the T28 over there. So you can probably be a bit aggressive here, but I mean, you already have health, so it's a little bit hard to do that. And like I said, you don't have too much of your team support here, so it's kind of a balance of, okay, how aggressive are you going to be, given you're not going to have much support from your team, to, well, your other side's completely losing because their entire team's over there. Alright, KB gets a good shot in. Let's see. I mean, because you knew that he fired at the KV, so you had time to aim a little bit. You may have gotten hit, but it would have been worth a kill. but he basically traded for nothing there. So hopefully you can get a shot on this Churchill 3. He doesn't have a very good gun, the Churchill 3. All right, that's good. So this is where you need to be careful about going around this corner, because now your artillery, you're open to the artillery, and